Imagine going on this adventurous hiking trip with your friends to the Appalachian Mountains, despite knowing it's the very place that gives birth to various horror stories or alleged monster sightings. But it's all fun and games until you enter a place that wasn't supposed to be uncovered by humans. What spirals next is terrifying, and will haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives, maybe even us viewers who are terrified of the unknown things that remain undiscovered. Presenting the Crawlers, the creatures that turned an adventurous trip into a misadventure. And if you want to know more about them, make sure to continue watching this video as we explore the origin and anatomy of the Crawlers. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Where did they appear in fiction? The Crawlers were first introduced as the main antagonists of the horror film The Descent Part 1 in 2005, written and directed by Neil Marshall, and its sequel The Descent Part 2 in 2009, directed by John Harris. In the original, the monsters were brought to life by talented undercover actors such as Craig Conway, Mark Cranfield, Justin Hackney, Leslie Simpson, Catherine Dyson, Stephen Lamb, Sophie Trott, Tristan Mathieu, Julie Ellis, and Stuart Lewis. In the sequel, new undercover actors such as Adam Harvey, Robin Berry, Kengo Oshima, and Nicholas Danes took the form of the Crawlers, who were more intense and scarier than the previous ones. Who are the Crawlers? The Crawlers are a species of creepy and carnivorous humanoids that inhabit caves and have adjusted to almost perpetual darkness, losing any remnants of their former humanity and transforming into monsters along the way. They're extremely protective of their territory and are aggressive toward outsiders. How did the Crawlers evolve? Unlike humans who have access to open air and sunlight, the Crawlers have lived for many years underground in a harsh and remote cave system within the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina, a place that has remained undiscovered by the modern world. Staying cooped up in the caves for so long has caused some major physiological changes among the Crawlers. Although isolated from human civilization, they have continued to breed. They've developed troglomorphic traits, which is what most people used to say about the biological evolution of cave-dwelling creatures. This evolution has led them to lose certain features that are no longer necessary for survival in underground conditions, such as their eyesight. However, they have developed enhanced traits better suited for living in the dark, including heightened hearing and echolocation abilities. The Crawlers only ventured out of the caves at night to hunt for food in the nearby forest. It's said that the designers of the Crawlers aimed for them to represent cavemen that never left the caves, monsters that no one ever wished to encounter in reality, if they were to exist, which explains the dramatic evolution. What inspired their design and practical creation? Neil Marshall, the director, has talked about what inspired the Crawlers' design. He drew from classic horror figures like Count Orlok from the 1922 movie Nosferatu, mainly because of its pale look and creepy yet predatory nature. Another big inspiration came from H.G. Wells' Morlocks in The Time Machine, who are another type of underground humanoids that developed in isolation. Marshall has mentioned that if he had made Crawlers all male, it would have made no sense. He wanted to create a believable and realistic species that lives underground, one that is feral and primal, yet also has human traits. He didn't want to label them as aliens because ultimately, humans are the scariest creatures. The production used practical effects instead of computer-generated imagery. The Crawlers were created by Paul Hyatt, who specializes in makeup and prosthetics. The effects were so real that when the cast came face to face with the creatures for the first time, they freaked out because of how scary they looked. Production designer Simon Bowles mentioned that the initial concept for the Crawlers was more creature-like and wide-eyed, but the design evolved to resemble a more human look. Are the Crawlers human? But the big question remains, are they humans? But why do we categorize them as human? It's because they were an ancient branch of Homo sapiens who got trapped in a place from which they could never get out. So if we have to consider the modern biological features, then no, Crawlers are not human. They just share a direct evolutionary lineage with humans. If you really think about it, the Crawlers in The Descent make you question just how fragile human identity is when pushed to the extreme. They could easily be us, what we'd turn into if we were stuck in total darkness for long enough. That's what makes them so unsettling. This kind of horror sticks with you, and the filmmakers pulled it off brilliantly. Are the crawlers completely blind? Yes, the crawlers are completely blind. Being stuck in a place such as a cave with perpetual darkness has made their eyes non-functional. In the movie, the creature's eyes are milky and clouded, lacking visible pupils or irises, suggesting they suffer from degenerative blindness. They do not respond to flashlights or flares, even when directly illuminated. Director Neil stated in the production notes that the creature's eyes are purely decorative and do not serve any sensory purpose. Despite being blind, they have heightened non-visual senses like echolocation, hyperacute hearing, and an enhanced sense of smell to find food and move around. What makes the crawlers so dangerous? Now, some of you may wonder, if they're blind, what harm can they do? Despite being sightless, they have enhanced predatory efficiency, so they're still surviving in the dark depths of caves. Crawlers use echolocation by making high-frequency clicks and listening for the echoes. This helps them navigate and find prey, even in complete darkness. As a result, they're very hard to escape from. Their sharp hearing enables them to track prey with precision. They can detect even the faintest sounds, such as breathing or movement, effectively ambushing their target. Crawlers are extremely agile. They can easily navigate uneven terrain and scale cave walls with remarkable speed. This speed comes from moving on all fours. They will close the distance between their targets so fast that escaping them becomes impossible. Their elongated claw-like fingernails and pointed fang-like teeth are ideal for tearing the flesh of animals and humans, either to feed on them or to let them bleed to death. They have a strength strong enough to overpower a fully grown man or woman. The crawlers attack not only as individuals but also as a coordinated pack. They stalk their target and strategize their attacks to increase their chances of success. In the movie, when the crawlers surrounded the girls, they circled around them, assessing their targets to identify a weaker link. This is why they killed Holly first. She was the most vulnerable among her friends due to her broken leg. When facing multiple opponents, the crawlers will sometimes injure and immobilize one victim before moving on to attack another. They often return to finish off the immobilized victim later. How do crawlers communicate? Do they have a hierarchy? The crawlers don't communicate like we do. They don't have a language or words to talk to each other, as they haven't molded themselves that way. Instead, they make high-pitched clicks and screeches to communicate amongst themselves. These sounds help them navigate, like finding each other or avoiding obstacles, and they're also used to let others know about something unusual nearby. This could mean a potential threat or prey that's just wandered into a hunter's territory. The movie or any other source has not explicitly delved into the detail about the social structure or hierarchies among the crawlers. However, certain behaviors suggest the presence of a primitive social hierarchy within their clan or pack. Whatever you want to label them. They live in family groups, where larger males take on the role of hunters, while smaller females focus on rearing the young. The male hunters leave their caves at night to hunt for prey, which they then drag back to share with their families. Child crawlers were also shown in the movie. What do crawlers eat? The crawlers are primarily meat eaters. Relying on a carnivorous diet is the only way to thrive in their dark cave environment. Some have mentioned they go out at night to hunt animals. Others believe they feast on animals that have carelessly wandered into them. Unfortunately, if any humans venture into their territory unknowingly, it will also become their significant food source. Why do the crawlers have pale, slimy skin? The crawlers have albinism, or pale skin, which occurs due to the lack of sunlight in their underground habitat. Over the generations, their skin has lost the melanin pigmentation, which is useless in dark surroundings. The pale skin also helps the crawlers to camouflage themselves against cave walls and ceilings, allowing them to remain hidden in plain sight from prey and potential danger. The slimy texture of their skin may be due to the moisture retained in a damp cave environment, which prevents it from drying. The smooth, slimy surfaces of their body assist them in maneuvering through challenging areas more effectively. This slimy surface could also indicate remnants of their prey following a hostile interaction, where the crawlers emerged victorious. Both their translucent skin and sliminess amplify the horror aesthetic of the crawlers, making them appear more otherworldly, unsettling, and terrifying. Can the crawlers survive outside the cave? It's very unlikely that the crawlers will be able to survive in the outside world. It took them millions of years to adapt and morph into beings that can survive and thrive in the underground cave-like environment. Bringing them to the surface would be extremely lethal for them. As we all know, they're completely blind. If they enter the human world, they will struggle to navigate and quickly become disoriented. If you have a wild imagination like me, you can picture how they might emerge on a road and get hit by a random vehicle, since they wouldn't sense it approaching. A lack of melanin results in pale skin, which makes the crawlers highly susceptible to sunlight. This vulnerability can lead to skin damage and may hinder their mobility and overall functioning. Additionally, their slim, moist skin would dry out quickly upon stepping outside their cave. Do any real creatures inspire the crawlers? Yes. Apart from fictional horror icons, their design takes inspiration from various real-life creatures that exhibit similar adaptation qualities to the crawlers. Mammals like bats are popularly known for their echolocation ability. They emit high-frequency sounds, which the crawlers use to see in pitch-black surroundings. The survival mechanism of the crawlers very closely resembles that of naked mole rats, which is perfectly adapted to life underground. They have translucent, hairless skin. The male crawlers are bald in the movie, but the female crawlers have hair. The crawlers' blindness and other sensory qualities are similar to those of blind cavefish, specifically species like the Mexican tetra. Do the crawlers have any weaknesses? Every individual has some kind of flaws or weaknesses, so the crawlers have some weaknesses as well. Due to living in darkness for such a long period, the crawlers are highly sensitive to bright lights. The crawlers reacted with agitation and confusion when the characters used their flashlights and flares. You can see them pulling away from the light, which indicates that bright lights disrupt their hunting abilities and also disorient them. Even the sunlight, the brightest light in the daytime, is a weakness of the crawlers. So even if they come out of the cave to hunt, they do so only at night to protect themselves from the light. Is there any supernatural connection with the crawlers? No. The movie shows the crawlers in a way that focuses on science and evolution instead of supernatural ideas. This makes their portrayal feel more real and believable, suggesting they could be the result of natural evolutionary changes to their surroundings, which makes it both interesting and scary at the same time. Marvelous verdict. The crawlers from the movie Descent are a fascinating example of how combining scientific concepts with scary horror designs could create a monster that has the potential to give nightmares and chills to anyone who sees it. Anyone traveling to the Appalachian Mountains will think twice before actually visiting the place, because it's truly a mysterious place with sightings that are not normal. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts on the movies in the comment section down below. Till then, stay safe, and refrain from wandering after midnight, because you never know what you may find. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.